Alright, welcome back to Don't Think, Just Charge. I'm Dave, he's Harvey, and today we're going to be going through one of the newest armies for one-page rules, which is the Grimdark Future Ratmen Clans. Let's get into it. So, one-page rules have just done their quarterly patch, their latest one for 2025 at the time of recording in June, and with that they have reworked the Ratmen Clans, and we were already considering covering the Ratmen Clans for a bad rep, but now they've done this, I don't think they're going to have such a bad rep anymore.
No, I don't think so. I mean, a little bit of a spoiler, but there's been a lot of work done to this army, which we're always keen to see, right? We love seeing things being reworked, especially when it's a surprise, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was really expecting Ratman Clans to see a rework, especially so close to the refluffening. So yeah, it's good to see some new units in here, good to see some rearrangings, more interesting stuff. I think people definitely were a little bit down on them before, so yeah, it's good.
Yeah. They had a few things previously that I was kind of excited to try out. I think the good things are still there, and then everything else is just better. So let's get into why they're such an exciting army and why we hope you're going to enjoy playing them at home. They don't have an army-wide special rule. They don't have anything kind of unique. We're not looking at army-wide Furious, so we're just going to go straight to the spells. So starting it off at the top of the list, unfortunately we have got one that we're really down on. If you've watched our videos before, you know we dislike the Blast 12 spell. It's Pestilence, 18-inch Blast 12 hit. It's just not great, especially in Grimdark Future, where you rarely have units that go above 10 models in it. So that Blast 12, you're probably already going to be starting out with 1 or 2 hits of redundancy.
Yeah, you're basically guaranteed not to kill a unit with this. You have to get super unlucky on the defense rolls for this to wipe out a unit, and wiping out units is the name of the game. So yeah, unfortunately not very good.
Yeah. Alright, next spell is Frenzy. 2 target friendly units within 12 inches get +3 or +6 movement. This is a good spell. We prefer the slowdown ones. The slowdown ones are much more impactful in stopping your enemy. And if you're playing to set up for this, you might be setting yourself up for failure. Whereas at least if your enemy setting up for something, the fail state risk is on them to make that decision. Good spell. There are better ones out there.
Yep, exactly.
Moving down, level 2, we've got a target enemy unit takes a hit with AP4 Deadly 3. It's not too bad. We prefer the other damage spells, but this is still fine. -1 to hit rolls to shoot is the next spell down, and again, it's kind of fine. It's kind of situational. Not obsessed with it. Moving down then to the level 1 spells, we have got Cracks. Target enemy unit takes 2 hits with AP2. It's fine. Don't love it. There's a better level 1 spell for damage. And then, most interestingly on a level 1, we've got 2 friendly units within 12 get poisoned the next time they fight in melee. I think that's a really powerful spell, especially in what you can churn out with the rats.
Yeah, I think this is basically the only redeeming spell in this list. I like to hit AP2, but yeah, the rest of them are pretty underwhelming for the most part. So you're unlikely to be seeing much in the way of casters kicking around in this list.
Yeah, I agree. But we'll move on down. As you'll see when we go on to build the lists, I don't think either of us... I haven't seen your Super Spice planned yet, but I'm not going to be building a list really with caster in with the Ratmen Clans.
No.
Moving in to where we actually get a huge amount of potential in the army, it's the heroes. We'll start out with the Ogre Handler. He's what comes first, but he's not really what I'm massively excited about, but we'll go through him. He is 100 points, you get a 4/4, a tough 6, fearless, furious hero. He has got a very interesting profile because he's got A2, AP1, Blast 3. Now, before we go into everything else that comes with him, that's interesting because we have Furious and we have AP1, Blast 3. If this guy charges and gets a 6 in his attacks, well, his maximum damage output on the base profile is already 12, and 12 hits with AP1 is a lot.
Yep.
Moving on to...
Especially 100 points.
Especially at 100 points. Moving on to the auras, this chap only has 3. We've got Fanatic Chance. Now, we'll be paying more attention to this, I think, when we come on to the other heroes. But this is your expanded Furious. Your Furious hits on 5s and 6s. 15 points, very cheap. We have Lead from Behind. This is Undead, no retreats, robots, very similar rules to what we see elsewhere. A really good rule, but again, on my 100-point base unit, I'm not looking to push that on him. And then we've got Intelligence Officer, which gives you Scurry Away, which is Advanced Tactics, Dark Tactics, Pheromones, powerful. But we have these 3 auras, and I am not thrilled. I'm not looking at this guy to be my aura bot.
Yeah, for pure auras, this guy was never going to make it. I do think Lead Behind has some interesting usage on a unit like this, because you can take quite an aggressive profile on him and then stick him in some chaff, and it's basically like having a bunch of extra wounds. We kind of mentioned it in the Orc video, but the Orc's big tough 6 guy has the problem where once he loses his unit, he's making morale checks all the time and he's fearless. Well, this guy is fearless, and Lead from Behind also means that you're going to lose those models and you're not really going to care. They just end up as a nice buffer. So you could embed this guy in a unit, take Lead from Behind, 125 points, give him a nice set of weapons because he's got plenty of good options, and then throw him in a unit of chaff if you wanted to, which I don't think would be awful. You know, throw him in a unit of Stalkers as well. That's like 200 and something-ish points. And this guy does punch pretty hard.
He does. He's got access to some A8 weapons. One of the things that's interesting that you get with Ratmen Clans, and I think we'll talk about it now because we can. You can, for the first time in official OPR army history, you can double stack full Fearless, full Undead on a unit. Maybe fact check me on that one. We might have been able to do it with the old ones, but I don't think we could.
Maybe I can't think of an example of where you would off the top of my head.
With elites last time, could you?
You might be able to do. Do Blackhawks have Fearless? No, I don't think they do. Because Orcs, I think, also get this. But
Orcs also get this.
Either way, it's a very rare combo, definitely.
It is a very rare combo. It's a very powerful combo. I'm sure someone will come into the Discord and just clarify what happens, but I read this as going, you make a morale check, you make a Fearless check, and then if you fail that, you're onto your Undead rolls, which is really good. Do remember, though, Fearless, you do have to have most of the models in the unit with it. But then, for example, if you take your Clan Handler, we are skipping ahead a little bit here, and you get this Lead from Behind effect, and you put him in a unit of Elite Operators with your Fearless, boom, this is where you get your 4-up morale into a 4-up Fearless into an Undead check. But aside from that, you are right, he can get really nice and aggressive. I like seeing tough 6 models with A8. You get it in Eternal Wardens, and it's a really nice profile. And then the fact that you can do either AP1 rending, which is one of my favourite sets of keywords on weapons in the game, or just AP4.
Yeah, I think the key thing about this guy is further down the list, we'll see there are other tough 6 things here that have Def 2. So this guy loses out to those who also have relatively similar stats, stated aggression at least. But if you're looking to save some points on not paying for Def 2 and you just want like a big guy you can throw at stuff, then it's actually not that bad. Because for 165 points, you get 8 AP4 attacks with Furious. Like, if you can charge this guy into the right stuff, then he is going to kill stuff, like, no problem. So it is interesting in that regard. But I think we'll soon discover that we're probably capping out on heroes elsewhere.
We are going to be capping out on heroes elsewhere. With that in mind, for those of you who are looking at something and screaming at your screens at home, there is something really spicy in the ogres. We're going to cover it when we go onto the ogre units. I am intentionally leaving it here because this isn't where we get our ogre spice. Again, we have some excellent fans and supporters, and by the way, thank you everyone for your continued support. You know I love a tough 3 unit. Rats, this is my thing. Like, when they release the OPR range for rats, I'm going to be just like huffing resin for a good long time, getting my dream army out of this. It's going to be great. So, Rat Ogre Handler, cool, not thrilled. We're using our hero slots elsewhere, and for the tough 6 exciting damage profile, we're probably looking elsewhere.
Yep.
Let's have a look at the Elite Handler. This is just a beautifully well-rounded hero that we get. 45 points. For 45 points, you get a tough 3 hero. He's a 4/4, and he's got Fearless, and then you can do loads of things with him. Now, we've spoken about what we like in a hero is a hero that you can take cheap and put your buffs on. And this guy's great at it, and spoilers, the next guy's even better. Let's run down the list, shall we? We've got an Assassin one, take down 10 points for a once per game conditional effect. It's cute. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I'm not a fan of takedown, really. I just can't think why you'd, for 10 points, make 5 points of cost elsewhere and take a better upgrade. That's kind of my view on takedown. If it was... Yeah. It's fine when you're taking like the limited weapons on tanks in HDF. You know what? Fine. 5 points, 10 points there is okay. But this is one of my unique hero auras. This isn't an aura, this is an upgrade. This is a limited weapon. Anyway.
Yeah, if it wasn't AP1 as well, it would have some value, I think.
Yeah.
Like a best case scenario, this is like a caster killer, which is obviously what it's supposed to be, right? Runs in and kills a caster embedded in a unit, and it's always very good for that.
Yeah, pick a model.
In the 9 out of 10 games you're not playing against a caster who dies to this, you're going to feel pretty limp running up to someone's lord and them just like AP1, like what you run to a battle brother of 50-50. This is just does nothing.
Yeah.
It's fine, I guess, but
a 50-50 it does nothing
it.
After a 5 out of 6 chance it actually hits, so not 100% chance. Like, it's just not great.
Yeah, and you've got to get into melee and a million other things.
Yeah. So Spy Assassin takedown, thumbs down. That we aren't completely, swooning at this list. There are things to criticize, but overall we are swooning at this.
I think that if you just made this more Spy Assassin, it would be more interesting, right? Like give it like Tunneler or Ambush, and then you could prioritize activating this thing and running it in and trying to kill one of their units.
Yeah.
But as it stands, like when the minis come out, there's going to be a Spy Assassin mini for this thing, and it's going to look completely rad. And it's not going to have a stat line that matches it.
No, it's not.
Like you can just imagine what like an assassin rat looks like, right? And this guy is not going to play like that at all.
He's so lame. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, what that Spy Assassin model will be cool for will be whatever the port is for this in Firefight. Because in takedown and Firefight, yeah, that's good. It's not great, but it is still passable. And so having it in that will be quite cool. Really, I'll be taking the Super Sick Assassin mini just as anything else and just having a cool mini because I ain't taking that.
He's going straight into D&D games.
Yeah, he is. That'll be awesome. That is the limits of my criticisms. There is a repair in here, but really we know what to say about that. We skip it. Everything else is excellent. So 15 points Fanatic Chant for this expanded Furious. We spoke about it previously. Great. Safety and numbers. Once per this unit's activation, pick 2 friendly units within 12 inches, which each get +1 to their next morale test roll. Now, I like this. This is good for 15 points. It highlights that in Human Defense Force, we get this on base units, though. So as an aura, you get it elsewhere in other armies, but it's still good.
Yeah, this is worse in GDF than it is in Fantasy, where you can also take banners, and you can have these like extremely hard to shift blocks of rats who are actually rolling morale checks on 2-ups and stuff. But that doesn't take away too much from this. I think this is still a good mechanic, and especially, we're looking at the Elite Handler now. The Clan Handler is just a cheaper version of it, and probably the version you're using. It's a little bit like the Storm Vets and Complete Leaders in HDF, where we're like max out on your Complete Leaders and then take Storm Vets as a backup. That's kind of where this guy sits. But I do think this is a nice buff to have if your army is in need of these kind of like morale buffs. If you're going quite a wide swarmy army, then this is a really, really great thing to see. Like, you just throw these out. This guy himself passing them out isn't that high priority, but he's definitely going to get his value back, even if you just pass 1 morale check.
Yeah, it's important as well. He can put it on himself, and if he's leading a unit, that unit, if it's Stalkers or if it's Infiltrators, they're making morale checks on 3+. So there are good ways. It is still good.
Yeah.
But there's a better place to put this. Lead from behind, we've already spoken about. Let's give our block of 20 rats undead. Seems fun. Repair, we've spoken about previously. In the bin. Caster. We have 2 caster goes on this. 65 points is an expensive caster 3 for a spell list that we look at and go, that's a bit of a nick. So we're not really rushing into it, but I'm sure there'll be a super sick Master Psi Hacker Rat that people will want to play. Exactly.
Straight into D&D.
Straight into D&D.
Evil BBG, you know.
Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. And then Scurry Away, really powerful effect. Advanced Tactics is perfectly costed, I think, at 45 points. It's just strong enough. But do you know what?
I'm so glad that they got that 5-point buff.
The 5-point buff?
A year ago or something like that. Yeah, the 5-point buff, yeah.
Bring it down to being just, chef's kiss. Well, maybe not 4, but bring at least 1 in every army and you will not regret it. His loadouts, I'm not going to go into too much detail on. I do note that he hasn't got things like Fast or Strider, so he can't join on to some specialist units, which is a shame, really.
Yeah, his specialist unit is supposed to, I guess, be just elites.
It is just elites.
The elite operators, which is just a shooting unit. So he joins them because he has Fearless, I guess. But yeah, this guy is, despite his points difference, he's just the little brother of Elite Handler. That's all he is.
The little brother of
the clan
handler.
Sorry, not Elite Handler. Sorry.
He's the little brother of the clan. He is. He's that comparison to HDF where we've got the Storm hero, the Storm veteran hero. That is a really good comparison. And folks, that's because at 25 points, you've got the clan handler. It's a 5/5 hero with tough 3. You know what would be even better? I don't know how the rounding works, but could you imagine if this thing had a pistol that was A1 and a close combat weapon that was A1, or just like no pistol, nearly 20 points?
Yeah, I don't think you can have A1 on tough 3. So I think
okay.
A2 CCW would be A2 CCW is as
cheap
light
as
this could get. Yeah, which I think does exist in. Well, I think maybe Beastman gets something like that, but they might also have Strider. I think there's a 20 points. But that's the holy grail of buffing lords. If you ever see just a CCW A2 on a lord with no other riders, oh god, it's a good day.
You're in a good spot. This guy has got
custom army makers.
Custom army makers.
Crazy.
Yeah, go break everything open for us. He's got all of those buffs, all of those auras. Now, thinking about how excited we were about them, when you can get your furious weapons exploding on 5s and 6s for a 40-point upgrade, that's excellent. Yep. When you've got your Scurry Away model coming in at 70 points, a 70-point upgrade, stick it in a unit of elite operators, that's amazing. You're throwing out your +2, your 2+1 morale buffs as a 40-point upgrade into your units. Excellent. Yeah. So there are so many good things to say about that. Clan Handler, do not leave home without them, I think.
No, I think they're great. I think unless you've got something stupid to do, you probably bring as many of these as you can. I also think these play excellently outside of units. So Scurry Away is one of those things that you can just have him on his own. Like, he doesn't need to be embedded in a unit. Same with Safety in Numbers, right? Like, you get this tiny little rat mini and it's cost like 70 points with Scurry Away, and it's moving things around in an impactful way. And if they waste a whole activation trying to kill it, you'll get a momentum swing from that. And it's going to be hard to do because you'll get to keep him behind cover because he's just a single model. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really valid strategy.
Yeah, really is. We're always quite scared to... by we, I mean, me more than you. You're happy to do it. We as players are quite scared to take a valuable thing like a hero, a piece that feels special and unique, and just leave it at massive risk of dying. Don't be scared. Your more sexy things typically in OPR are your units. Be brave and take a single one of these sometime. It's great fun. This guy can get the upgrades to go into units, so the Mecha-Beast will come onto those, and the Infiltrators will come onto those, which is nice because this is the guy we want to be going in units. This is the guy with the upgrades and the auras that are super cheap. So,
indeed,
chef's kiss. Well done, Clan Handler. Let's go into the main body of the units. We come out swinging so nicely. Stalkers, you get 10 of them. They're 5/5s with Furious for 110 points. Such a good line here. And then their weapon profile, Electro Whip's A1 AP1 Poison. Oh, what a line for a 5/5 unit with Furious. Now, that's great. For once in my life, I'm not encouraging people to go for the A2 upgrade. It is only 5 points, which is very good. What I'm encouraging you all to do is go into Electro Flails, where we see the special rule Taser. Taser, read it aloud for you. Machine Cults players at home, you've seen this one before. Unmodified rolls of 6 to hit, deal 1 extra hit. That's it. It's better than Furious, which has the Charge Rider on it. It means you can be charged. It means you can be charged while fatigued and your 6s explode. But what that means is when you're charging with this unit, your 6s explode twice.
Yeah.
Gimme.
It's very nice. Like in terms of hits, it's not much better than the A2. But it does have AP1, which is a huge difference for actually getting damage output.
It does.
What's funny is we've just done, in inverted commas, I don't know how long ago will it be as of this video coming out, but the orcs, right? So, Taser is melee shooty.
Taser is melee
it's funny that orcs use shooty to make their shooting viable. Well, rats just throw it on top of their already viable melee profile.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, so if you like that kind of similar playstyle of shooty orcs, then you're probably going to like this as well, where 6s do big things.
Yeah, and then they've got what we see quite commonly, replace up to 2 weapons with upgrades, right? We see this a lot. You can do A2, AP1 rending, A2, AP4, you can do some deadly things in there, but really for 5 points, an Electro Hammer for A1 Blast 3, when you've got Furious, is so good. Just feel very happy about putting that in there. If you're expecting a lot of armor, if there's a lot of armor in your meta at home, the Electro Spear is also decent because you've got Furious in the unit already. But I'd be encouraging you to take one of these. I'd probably just default build it out for the hammer and then put the Electro Flails on top, because that's just going to end up being 135 points of pure juicy goodness.
Yeah, the hammers make it a really nice anti-chaff unit.
Just a really nice anti-chaff unit.
Yeah, exactly, because they've already got the AP1 and Poison, which is good anti-chaff.
Yeah.
And then Blast is good anti-chaff as well. So, yeah, it makes for a nice, I'm going to kill your chaff with my chaff kind of thing.
Really, really good. Moving on down, we've got the Operators, who are slightly less exciting. These are 115 points for 10 5/5s again, but no special words. No special rules, I should say. They come with pistols, 12-inch A1. They've all got the A2 close combat weapons. Now, that is kind of just fine, right? Just that unit I'd take for 115 points. Good, fine chaff. But then you can do things.
If you go with the melee profile, they're worse than Stalkers, but
yeah, they are.
I mean, don't snuff at pistols. I think they are good.
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the points where that 115 points is hybridized. I'm not taking them to be a melee attacking unit. I am taking them to be chaff that then can shoot when they're sat on a point. So that's pretty good. Now, I'm not going to dwell on these too much. They've got what you'd expect to see in a core infantry unit. You can do sergeant things for the cool minis. You can replace his weapons to get AP1 rending or AP4. Very nice. What you can do is for 25 points, give the whole unit an 18-inch A2 shot with carbines, and then A1 on their weapons. So we're looking at 140 points here for 10 5/5s with A2 each, which again I think is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, 10 times 2 is 20. That's a large number of shots to be throwing at things. 18 inches is a nice range. Lets you cover lots of points with it. Yeah, it becomes just short-range chaff at that point, and 140 points is basically nothing. So, yeah, I don't think you can go too wrong with these guys. Obviously, they'll be a 5-up quality, so sometimes you will roll 20 attacks and hit none of them.
Yeah.
But that's just the kind of 5-up world you live in, and obviously Ratmen aren't the most elite armies. In fact, I'm not sure they even have a 3+ in the army. So, yeah, it's it's what you're playing. You know you're getting into when you picked up the rats.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, don't understate it, it's still really decent. Let's move on to the Saboteurs. This is a unit of 5 5/5s. Try to distinguish when I say 5s here, because their points cost is also 55 points.
This is the 5 unit. You
This
have
is
all
the 5
5s.
unit.
Yeah, you have as many 5s as possible, actually.
Yeah, that's about as far as we can get with it, except for the fact that they've got an upgrade that's 5 as well. But leaving that aside, they come with close combat weapons for A1, but they come as well with their bit of spice, which is these electro bombs, 12-inch A1 indirect poison. And I've skipped over the fact that they've got the expert thrower rule, which means that this model ignores penalties for shooting after moving with indirect weapons. And they've got that in there. So these guys can move as much as they like and indirect lob some A1 poisons on quality 5. You can replace all of those indirect poison ones for 12-inch A1 AP1 indirect weapons instead. So you gain an AP and lose poison, which is net the same.
Depends who you're shooting.
Yeah, depends who you're shooting.
Yeah.
For 55 points, I'm not writing home about it, but it's fine.
Yeah, these guys are a direct lift and shift from fantasy.
Yeah.
This is exactly the unit you get in Ratmen or for fantasy. I don't think they're very good there. They're probably better there than they are in this. I don't think they're very good here, but once again, like it's 60 points, you always double up 120 points. If you're taking the AP, that is, which I think you probably do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might get a couple of hits every so often, and if people do anything to them, then they're probably wasting their activations. So I really don't hate them, but I don't think they kind of sit in a weird spot where they might be a really efficient unit. It's hard to tell, but then definitely not exciting. So if you're building an army, like you're only including them as a very, very last thought. And
Yeah, exactly.
Because there are 5-ups with only 10 attacks, you'll probably have those like, oh, I'll play test these, and I missed all my attacks, or I hit 2 of them and you save them both, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like we've mentioned it before, but we like to see high damage potential per wound, and 1-for-1 is not that.
1-for-1 is not that. But worst case scenario, they can attack a point. Let's move down to the Infiltrators. So we're into a scout unit, which means that we can hopefully get a bit excited. These are 75 points for 5 5/5s. They have Scout, Stealth, Strider. They all come with the A1 pistols. They all come with the A2 close combat weapons. And then we get into the upgrade realm where I get to look over and see how excited is Harvey. I know he's not thrilled because they're still quality 5, but we have got the keyword for getting Harvey gassed, which is shotguns. 15 points, you change their weapon profile to have A2, AP1 at 12 inches of range. Talk to me, how are you feeling about these guys?
Yeah,
there we go.
The whole point of shotguns is it's like an efficient, very efficient, aggressive thing, and being quality 5 takes away from that entirely. We were talking about, like the perfect Lord. Well, the perfect shotgun unit would be quality 3, defense 6, right? The quality 2 one. Yeah, if you saw a quality 3, defense 6 one, you'd be absolutely gassed about it, because these units basically always fold the second someone looks at them.
Yeah.
So there's no point in investing in defensive for them really, but. Yeah, I think unfortunately these guys look like a shotgun unit, but really they're a smoke bomb carbine unit.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is like your premium objective holder, if we can call it premium, because premium stealth plus smoke bombs.
Objective attacker, I think, is a good way of describing it. So going through the rest of the upgrades for these guys, for the same cost you can have carbines, A2 at 18 inches, but then they've got this upgrade all models with smoke bombs, which is enemies get -1 to hit this unit when it's got this rule. This is again, the rule is lifted from fantasy. It's a good rule, 15 points as well. And Harvey is exactly hit on it. You can have stealth and this smoke bombs rule, which means that enemies shooting at this from over 9 inches away are -2 to hit. That is really warping. That is quite a distorting figure to see, especially when then you can just make 6s. And AP1 is good against this unit, and anything more is pointless. So yes, this is a good unit if you took these guys, probably gave them the carbine upgrade, gave them smoke bombs, we're at 105 points, aggressively move on to a point, and then back off and sit there ready to threaten them later on. Not too bad at all.
Yeah, it's an objective player. I mean, if people get lucky, they'll kill them, but it's, because of smoke bombs and stealth, the chance of someone targeting them is relatively low.
Yeah.
There is a kind of line of reason that maybe you should go shotguns, because how do you push these guys off an objective? Well, you get close. so they can then, stand close to something and shoot them with shotguns, which is better than shooting with the 18 inches. But yeah, I don't know. This is once again one of these units where like I think you could find a solid role for it in your team, and like Scout is nice for that because you get to put it down last, so you get to really see where the holes are on the map and put these guys in a place where they get to make the most of their stealth smoke bomb combo. So they will be very effective, but they're not the most exciting unit, but very efficient.
Very efficient. Very, very good in that regard. Nice, clean, and lean, which we've seen with all the units so far. Moving in, we're going to get to a bit more spice. We're on the tipping point of taking the plunge into full spice here. Mecha-Beast Riders, another unit that I really do like. 85 points for 555s. I'll get better at saying it, I promise. They come with Fast, they come with Strider, which is a potent combo to have already, and then they've all got Devour. This is kind of filling in for... So these are Beast Riders, these are Cavalry. You're not getting Impact, instead you're getting Devour. Now, you're way higher on Devour than I am. I think it's lame. I'd rather see Impact here.
I mean, I don't hate it. I think, yeah, I mean, Impact is probably better all. But Devour, when you've got 5 models in a unit, where you normally only see it on like singles or triples, it does start to be a bit more relevant, right? Because it is just straight up a wound, right? So this means this unit can kind of punch into tanks and stuff a bit better.
Yep.
The reason I'm looking away is because I'm actually pulling up the Raptor Riders.
Yeah, I was going to say this is quite like Saurians, right?
Yeah, this is very like Saurians. I was double checking, but yeah, they also have this Devour combo. But I think it's basically nowhere else really. Devour's not very used throughout the game.
No.
But they also have Lancers as well, as we'll get onto now.
Yeah,
but I think these are a better version of that.
You think these are a better version of the Saurian Starhost Raptors?
Yeah, because the Saurian Starhost Raptors pay for Def 3 and Fearless and stuff, right? Whereas this is clearly an aggressive unit. Oh, yeah. And let's not expect it to stick around.
And let's talk to you about why it's aggressive. So you can replace their pistols for shotguns, but we've spoken about that on 5.5s. We're not thrilled by it. What you can do is replace their weapon profile with Electro Lancers. So this is a 25-point upgrade for them to all have A2 AP1 Lance, which is that important +1 to hit and +1 AP when you're charging. That is a really excellent combination because now this unit's charging in with 5 of them for, let's do the maths, 110 points here. So that's 10 attacks hitting you on 4s with AP2. 5 hits on average with AP2 is already really good, with the chance to spike some Devour hits as well on a Fast and Strider unit that is very cheap. This unit can become really, really shit hot quite quickly.
Yeah, and if you're playing it as a cheap 5-point unit, you're probably playing it for counter charges as well. So AP2, so it doesn't sound very like aggressive 5 hits AP2, but that's probably going to win combat, right? This unit isn't a frontline unit, it's to sit and like, let's say you throw a unit of operators with carbines in front of it, or like we'll get to in a second with elite operators, right? You literally just stick 110 points of this behind it, and anything that charges that front unit melee, this snaps back into it, triggers a morale check because it's going to win combat.
Yeah. Absolutely. If I've not spoken about chess in OPR for a couple of videos now, so I'm breaking the combo here. But if you think about it in terms of chess, if you leave a unit hanging in OPR, which would be that they're vulnerable to a charge, they're probably going to lose and get wiped out or shaken or something, then that unit is at risk, right? But with this, you can intentionally push up something on the board, make it seem like a juicy charge target, and then countercharge with this 16-inch range Strider heavy hitting unit. And it's still cheap for how well it hits as well. Your unit that looks like it's been left hanging is now not. And unlike in chess, you don't move in a fixed position. This is 16 inches round. Like, unless you've got some things properly blocking your way, really good countercharging unit. I think these are fantastic.
Yeah, and Fast and Strider means that they can cover lots of units as well without worry of terrain or just distance getting in the way of it. So once again, another unit in this list that is very efficient.
Very efficient.
It can fill a role for quite a small cost. So starting to see a bit of a theme here for that.
Yeah, and when you've got all of this, then Dave gets really excited because it means I can take the big fatties like that we're going to come on to later on and do it with very little remorse. Elite Operators. This unit as well, in the world of Grimdark Future, I love it. This is 5 models in it for 105 points. They're 4/4s, so your elite rats here are 4/4s. They have Fearless. They come with the heavy pistols and the close combat weapons loadout that we've seen before. You've got this Sergeant shenanigan that you can do. Same as you see anyway. You've got all of the usual sorts of ranged gun upgrades, but then you've got the core unit can be changed to be either shotguns, 12-inch A2 AP1 for 10 points, or heavy carbines. This is, again, important difference to just normal carbines. 18 inches A2 AP1 for 40 points. Important point to realise, a 30-point difference for 6 inches of range is really important there. I think it's worth the 30 point difference. I love elite operators. You talk to me about your thoughts on them, Harvey.
Yeah, so before we had the Ratmen rework, this is one of the standout units that existed before. So when the Ratmen rework came out, it's the first thing I scrolled down to look for. We love 18 inches. We love AP1. This is perfect, right?
Really is.
You can just take these as 5 blocks of 5s, 145 points. They're that kind of range unit. Then once again, very similar to the other things in this army, it's cheap, where you don't really want to spend an activation on it, but it is accruing value pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of this. And then they have Fearless as well. So like,
yeah,
if someone wipes out 4 of them, there's a good chance it sticks around, right? That's not bad.
This unit is no slouch. And when I was playing around making lists earlier in the week, I just loved sticking 2 of these in pretty much straight away. I wasn't so keen on doubling them up, because I think that at 5 with heavy carbines, 5 models with heavy carbines, they fill their role just well enough. But when you're looking at what would be 190 points, 290 points, sorry, doing my maths properly here, 290 points for 10 of these, I think I'd rather be spending that many points elsewhere. But at 5 of them for 145 points, I think they're excellent.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you can do flamers and machine guns and stuff if you really want to go wild. They're good. Next down the list, we have our snipers. We've got sharpshooters. Not uncommon to see a unit with snipers have no upgrades. 3 models, 90 points. They're 5/5s. Scout, Stealth, Strider. So again, really good things to add here. And all 3 of them have got 18-inch A1, AP1 snipers. Good efficient sniper unit, really. I'm not super hot and horny for sharpshooters and snipers in general in OPR, but if you want to take them, take this.
Yeah, I mean, worth pointing out, this is our first instance of HDF man showing up. There he is.
There he
favorite
is.
boy. We probably need a name for him. In fact, if Adam watches this video, Adam, please tell us his name, because we need to name him.
Can we name him Adam?
I love sharpshooters. We can name him. It's Adam.
It's
Adam.
There he is. Completely derailing the review. Yeah, HDF dude in rats. Sorry, you were saying. What do you feel? How do you feel about sharpshooters?
Yeah, so I mean, you normally see snipers for like 135, 145 points because they tend to be crowned full of other crap.
Mm-hmm.
And the key thing about these guys is they're 18 inches.
Yeah,
so they save a lot of points on that. And the one thing you want from snipers is enough fire to kill the thing you're trying to kill, which sounds obvious, but it's not, right? If you take a unit of 3 snipers and you shoot at a caster and it survives on 1 wound, it's going to blow its load next turn and you're going to not get as much value from that.
Mm-hmm.
So what you'd like to see from those snipers is more hits, because 3 is like you're only just about to get that. So doubling them up, but with most snipers you double up, they hit like the 290 point or whatever, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
They get really expensive pretty fast. These guys go up to 180, and 180 is still really cheap. So the 18 inches is paying dividends here. So I really like this as just like a unit that you can throw down, and you can do that scout thing. You can force things. I mean, for 180 points, you're having quite a big battlefield impact there, just off the back of that.
Yeah.
And it may be the case they don't get their value or whatever, but I think most of the time these guys at least kill something of value and then get traded against. But, you know, we've just spoken about the power of having like Mecha-Beast Riders, right? So, yeah, you'd make your crazy play with your sharpshooters and then you countercharge in with your Mecha-Beast Riders, right?
Yeah.
And you keep that trading chain going on. And this is another example of a scout unit where you don't need to be 12 inches up the board when you finish your scout, right? 18 inches means that you can be just a 6-inch scout. But it's similar to the other scout unit we saw before, the shotgun guys, where it's like, I'm going to use scout for the strategic advantage it gives me, not necessarily the positional advantage.
Yeah.
So I'm actually a big fan of these. This is probably the best sniper unit in the game, just because snipers don't need to be 30-inch range.
Yeah, not much in OPR needs to be 30-inch range.
No, especially with Scout.
Especially with Scout. One of the things as well, this is probably a nice time to pick up on it. We've touched on it in other videos. We're going to be talking primarily about 2,000 points when we come to building our lists. We will be looking at the Titans though, because they're exciting. But at 2,000 points, we say that you would probably want at least 7 activations in your army, which means that your average unit cost is 285 points. In Rats, if you're pushing at 2,000 points, the full 10, that means 200 points is your average per unit. When you're getting units that are really efficient, filling their battlefield role, and doing that well below that points threshold, so below the 200 points if you're going for 10, and below the 285 point mark if you're going for 7, and then obviously everything in between, if you're filling your battlefield role, being a threat on the board, demanding attention, you're going to be probably trading up into at least the estimation that we're just roughly throwing out here. But on the board, you will be trading up. So 6 of these putting real threat on your enemy casters. Also some real severe threat on enemy upgrade carriers. If your opponent's got a unit of tough 3 guys and one of them's got a load of upgrades on him, really good sniper out. We've been talking about orcs and how you can bury those AP4 weapons deep in the units. Picking those out is really valuable. You can get your value for this, and it's under budget effectively. So
yeah, to draw a parallel, that there's in competitive Pokemon, there's this idea of role compression, where a Pokemon's really good if it can do multiple roles. So it might set up hazards and also be a pivot and stuff, lots of different roles. And it's kind of similar in OPR here, right? By having these really efficient units, you open up a lot more points across the rest of your army to then have like greedier things, really, right? Because your elite operators are so good at playing like an 18-inch harasser value machine, then you're not spending like maybe 200 points where someone might do for a similar strength unit. So this is really good. You get to spend that extra 100 points somewhere else, right? Maybe on some beefier toughness 3 things, or maybe on some more Lord upgrades and stuff like that. So these like top 6 or 7 units we just looked at here, they form a really, really solid base for the rest of the army.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Let's move on to those rest of the army. We've still got a few things in the rest of the army category that fill that base level. It is a more swarmy sort of army of the Ratmen Clans, but you also get to drill through some really nice specialist ones that fulfill those sorts of roles that we're looking at to be the top half of this well-rounded army. Weapon experts. We have broken a little bit more of the quality 5 curse. This is our second quality 4 core unit now. This is 170 points for 3 of them. They are 4 5s, they're tough 3 each, and they've got relentless. Immediately, I'm getting a bit of an ick. We are at risk of losing that, exceeding our wounds to damage output ratio because of tough 3. Relentless is the worst rule in the game. Anyone who disagrees with that, please bring an all relentless army to play against me, because I'll just enjoy making you feel sad while you either stand still to get your thing and aren't playing the objective game, or you're moving and you're not getting your buff. It's the worst buff in the game. It's the worst special rule in the game. Yep. Sorry. These guys are exciting in that they have got the ability to proc relentless with their base weapon, which is a heavy flamer. We like heavy flamers, but if this was a quality 5 unit, then that reliable would be far more valuable. Just saying. Then you've got gun upgrades here. On a quality 4 unit with tough 3, that's 170 points base. This is something I'm leaving behind.
Yeah, this is a weird unit. When I was thinking about it before, I thought, well, I mean, you compare it to flamers, normal flamers. So a unit for like 90 points, I think it is, in HDF, you get 3 normal flamers on 5/5s.
Yeah, the sappers.
No relentless. Or maybe they do have relentless.
They do have relentless.
They do.
Sappers have relentless.
Yeah. So 180 points for 2 of them. So you're getting either 18 hits with no AP, or here you're getting 9 hits with AP1. I don't know. It's not that great. The tough 3 is quite appealing though here. I don't know what, like, I think the combination of like blast with Tough 3 means that you're saving money because of Blast, but then you're spending a bit more money on Tough. And
Yeah.
these things are quite annoying when you do get stacks of them. But yeah, I don't think this one quite hits the mark. The interesting thing here about this unit, really more than anything else, is that it's got a recommended base size of 25 millimeters.
I think they all do.
Which is the smallest. Do they? Yeah, well, there we go. Like, it's the smallest Tough 3 unit in the game per the
I
base
didn't comment on it at the time, but the Mecha-Beast Riders, for those of you at home who don't linger in our Discord, if you don't, come join in. It's a great place to be. Harvey hates mounted bases. The oval bases, I did have one on my desk, but I put it away somewhere now, because I'm not going to do a whole segment on this, but stacking all those oval bases into a charge means that if you've got a unit of 10 on big oval bases, you're not going to get everyone in. Everyone on 25mm bases, the teeny tiny boys like this, there's nothing for you to compare that to. But here's some spoilers for those of you at home. I'm getting my jesters finally. The 25mm bases are tiny, so if you have 10 models on these, you're going to get them all into a charge quite more often than not. You'd have to be charging one poor lone sod, but even then you're probably going to get them all in, whereas with oval bases you don't. And so when Harvey sees Beast Riders on 25mm recommended bases, weapon experts on 25mm recommended bases, it's a boon.
Yeah, until they make the game a 3-inch melee range, which I think they should do, given that the base recommendations for things like the oval ones are longer than 2 inches. It's like, yeah, it's just silly right now.
Yeah,
and if you have ever played a 10 stack of oval bases, it's almost impossible to get around terrain. Like, it's just dreadful.
Yeah, it is.
Shouts
out. We were at an event the weekend before recording this, and my opponent brought Vampiric Undead using the Games Workshop wolf models, and he charged a unit of 10 wolves into something and realised, oh, crap, he could get like 6 of them in. It was a bad time for him. So 25mm recommended bases, nice to see. Weapon experts, they're an interesting one. Probably, given how efficient the rest of the army is, they're probably not making the cut, I think.
Yeah.
Now another 5s unit. We have 5 5s for 55 points in the form of the Giant Rats. A really good, efficient unit. They are fast, they are Strider, they're A1 rending. We get to see our best friend Adam again right here, because there's no upgrades for this unit. I think... So, contrasting this with something that would be a comparable slot in the army, which would be the Saboteurs at 55 points there, I'm taking the Giant Rats most, if not every time. They're a really great, fast, objective point picker, cheap activation spam unit.
Yeah, so something that I do quite a lot in my games is I take a unit and I throw it at the enemy's really scary unit, knowing that it's going to die. Mm-hmm. This is really good at that, because you might charge this and not hit any attacks and they don't need to attack back, and they don't do this, but it's good for activating fatigue. Because if they do attack back, then they've wasted their activation most of the time. And because these guys have rending, you've got a pretty decent chance of actually getting a wound and then forcing them to attack back unless they take the morale check. Mm-hmm. On top of that, then it's just a 55-point fast Strider unit, so you play objectives with it, and it's not going to live if it gets attacked. But it's going to threaten places, and if you have some difficult terrain, or maybe your opponent's playing full melee, then you can keep the thing alive for as long as you need it to. So, yeah, decent, yeah. For some reason, these guys are on 40 mils, but sure.
Yeah.
The endless base confusion continued.
This is one where I want to see it changed.
I think that, yeah, like, Giant Rats are a decent unit because they're 55. There's like a point with points where if it's such a small number, then the unit is good.
Yeah.
Right, 55 is such a small number that an activation is probably worth more than 55 points.
Yeah.
And you're getting an activation out of this. So, yeah, the fact that it's got rending on top of it, right? Like, you can charge this into tanks and sometimes sneaky a wound and then shake a tank, right?
Shake a tank. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, great unit.
They're great. And don't forget as well that when you're considering putting these in the way of your opponent's big, stompy things to try and... Sometimes you want to try and fatigue them to set them up for a charge. Sometimes you want to just waste your opponent's time. If you put this... Say your opponent's bringing an Attack Walker, Custodian Brothers Attack Walker, with absolutely no way of like flying around this thing. If you just move this faster than their unit of Giant Rats in the way of it and block it, you are making so much value there, because that Custodian Attack Walker is nearly 400 points, so it needs to make its points up, killing on average 100 points a turn. And if one of the charges is this unit of giant rats to get through, it's struggling to make its mark. I know OPR is a 4-round game. Really, it's actually a 3-round game of actual fighting, more often than not. And so the ability to just throw these in the way and be annoying is very valuable. And we're talking at this length about a 55-point unit. Again, efficient, well done.
Yeah, go watch our activation video if you're interested in ways of using activations.
Good plug.
An example of it.
Good plug. Rat swarms. Have we had the opportunity to talk about the swarms problem in OPR yet?
No. I don't think so. I mean, I wouldn't say there is necessarily a swarm problem as such. But if you put these side by side next to giant rats, you'll see that everything we had to say about giant rats exists for the rat swarms, and they're only 10 points more for twice as many wounds.
Yeah, so to run you through it, this is, again, we're seeing our friend Adam, most importantly here. This unit has no upgrades.
Oh, hell yeah. He features heavily in this rat list.
He does, and it's because they're so efficient. But rat swarms are excellent. 65 points for 3 tough 3/6/6s. So that doesn't sound exciting, but remember, considering efficiency, that's 9 tough points for 65 points, whereas the giant rats, who we love, are 5 tough points for 55 points. This is looking good. They have fast and strider as well. They have ambush, and they have furious. And considering how each base has 4 attacks, so when you're charging, you're hitting on 6s. If you're charging, you're actually hitting twice on each 6. So your expected output is roughly double what it should be. They can pop up out of ambush and be really annoying, or you ignore ambush and you just deploy your fast strider tough 9 65-point unit in the game. Rat swarms are good.
Yeah, very, very, very similar to the giant rats. Everything we said about them is true about these guys. The big difference here is no rending, so the giant rats are slightly more aggressive. They can actually threaten lots of things, but ambush is not to be, underestimated. The nice thing about these compared to the giant rats is if you do want to go for a smaller activation strategy and get double activations, then ambush lets you do that, so you get the extra ability to capture by having these guys. But because they're in ambush, you're not activating them every single round, so therefore you get those double activations at the ends of rounds, so you can do really scary stuff with your big units that you've invested in. So yes, very, very, very efficient. But like I said, there's a certain point where, like, 65 points, I'd pay for that even if it just gave me an activation.
Yeah, exactly. If there was something that said that you can just spend points to blank an activation on your go, just when it's your turn to say pass without activating a more valuable unit, that's really good. So this is an excellent foundation for the rats. Now we want to look into the more hard-hitting, the more specialist units, and we hit what I think is the GOAT unit in the Ratmen list. We've got the Ogre Bodyguards. Now, 3 tough 3 models for 145 points. They are 4/4s, so they're not, custodians. They're not the 3/2s, but they're excellent. Fearless, great. Furious, great. They have no ranged weapons, so you hybrid haters at home can rejoice. The ranged is an optional upgrade. They come with heavy electro hammers, which is melee A1 AP1 blast 3, which is really, really good. And then we're going to talk about the exciting thing, which is in the upgrades. So we've already spoken about blast 3, AP1, furious. Really fun. Maximum damage output on a single charge from these guys as a base unit of 145 points is 18 wounds with AP1. Really nice. You can give them all for 15 points the deadly AP2 equivalent, or you can do this. Heavy electro flails. They are A1 AP1 blast 3 taser. We've spoken about taser, and now let's think about the fact that when you've got taser and you've got furious on a blast 3 weapon, that means that a single 6 hits 3 times when you're charging. You've got a maximum hit output on this unit on the charge of 27 hits with AP1. Kaboom.
which is obviously unlikely. But it's actually only 3/6s, which is
It's
not
only three
that
sixes.
crazy unlikely. Right, like
Mm-hmm.
3/6s is not that unlikely. Yeah, I mean, we talk quite a lot about the interaction between Furious and Blast and Deadly, right? It's very, very spiky and can win you games, right?
Yeah,
And
it
it
can.
very rarely loses you games, right? Is the key distinction here. You don't need to get that lucky here on a charge with these guys to just detonate the unit in front of you. And yeah, after the upgrades, it's 170 points, but that's still not like we were talking before about like a 200-point benchmark for a 10 activation army. These are still below that mark, right? So this is like there's a lot of very efficient stat lines going on. I mean, all your units fold. They all
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely
fold.
do.
But when you see stuff like this, where it's like, well, yes, it does fold, but sometimes I charge into my opponent and get like 18 AP1 hits out of it. They fold as well when that happens.
Yeah, they
Right?
do.
That's not super unlikely, right? So yeah, like without Taser, like Furious is basically like hitting a 3-up. So what on average you hit like 6 of these, right?
Yeah.
6 AP1 hits, which is still enough to do a good dent in most things. But you only need to roll 1 6, and all of a sudden that average 6 or whatever is like now average 9. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like yeah, like it's just it's a very explosive unit that's going to do good stuff. And if it doesn't, then you didn't spend that many points on it, so it doesn't matter.
And if you want to make it even better, this is really one of the points where you look at those lords, the heroes we've been talking about, and if you make this unit's Furious explodes on 5s and 6s as well, that means that, oh no, I didn't get my 6s, but I've got 5s and I'm still, hitting 6 times on a single attack here. Obviously, this is all in the land where you're hitting a unit that has at least 3 models, but most units in OPR have got 3 or more models in it. And then even with the bigger ones, where there are 5, 10 plus models in the unit, when you start to take things out, they're still quite likely to have 3. And if you're attacking a 2-model unit, well, that means that unit is probably dying. It's on its way off the board anyway. Yeah. You've already done a huge dent to it. It's actually not all that bad. Heavy electroflails on these Ogre Bodyguards. Stick a hero in it. You've got an exciting unit there. We will come on to the next big exciting thing in a few points' time, which I think Harvey's more excited about than I am, and I'm gassed about it. What is a nice combo with these guys to be really terrifying. It's worth saying, for those of you... Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that the last thing about these guys is the heavy burst carbines.
Yeah.
18-inch AP1 is always a good thing to see, but these guys are a bit like the Ogre ones from HDF, where they end up having... So obviously the Ogres have Undead, but these guys have Furious, and then they get Shield Wall, and it ends up with this kind of strange combo of things where you're paying slightly more than you liked for all the stuff, and actually they're not that great at that point, right? Like it's probably too expensive to justify that being a ranged unit. Like paying for Shield Wall in range is fine, but it's like you're playing ranged already, so you're probably trying to play around taking damage, and sure, you can't always avoid it, but we don't want to immediately be indexing into defense if we're also picking up range. So yeah, not a massive fan of that.
Yeah. But for those of you who want your Ogre Bodyguards to have machine guns of some sort, the option is there for you.
Yeah, which surely have to be when they do the models for these Tommy guns, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's a League of Legends thing, but in my head I'm thinking like big rat boys with little Tommy guns, but yeah,
and
all over that.
trilbies.
Yeah, if these guys aren't themed like Mafia, then I don't even...
I'd love it. I'd love to see it. I mean, I kind of get the feel with the wording, with the way these have been named. Like, that's going to be kind of the theme. I hope it is, because we've got the bodyguards, and then we've got the agents.
It's like, surely we're getting gangster rats.
These guys are gangster rats in the trilbies. These guys are in the pinstripe suits with a tie.
The pinstripes. Definitely the pinstripes. Yeah, hell yeah.
If not, OPR A, you've missed a trick. You should have been watching these videos. And B, go forth and sculpt somebody, please, because I'll use those units. That'll be amazing. Ogre Agents. It's hard to move on to a unit after how amazing the bodyguards were, but do not knock these guys. These guys are also really, really good. 180 points, we get 3 tough, 3 4/4s. We're at a good spot already. They've got Furious. These guys come with fist guns. Hold on. We've got the agents. Are they robot agents now? Do the fingers detach? Like Inspector Gadget? That would be cool. Those fist guns are 12-inch, A3 AP1. We've got electro swords on them, which are another favourite profile, A2 AP1 rending. And then you can get rid of all of them and instead give everyone dual electro swords, A4 AP1 rending for only 5 points. So 185 points, that's a good unit. Or you can make those AP4 instead, really efficient AP4 Qual 4 Furious units. This is all good stuff. The rest of the upgrades, you replace the fist guns with just flamers. Fist flamers? Really do need the fingers falling off here for this. And then
it's like kind of like the finger lighter thing, you know.
Oh my god! If the again the minis better have one guy doing this. Oh, the potential is so huge.
It's all there. It's all there.
I hope that the OPR sculptors watch our channel. I really do. You can, if you're not replacing all of the loadout for the A4 attacks, you can replace any of the fist guns for flamers for 5 points each. You can replace the base electro swords for electro fists, so get rid of the AP1 rending instead to be just flat A4 for, again, 5 points each is really good. Where I'm going in my very, very smooth brain of loving tough 3 minis with Furious is that I want each of these guys to be able to output a single attack more than they're tough. So I'm leaning towards actually the dual electro swords for 185 points, having all of these guys A4 AP1 rending Furious next. Like, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I think you can take it either direction with the weapons. I think that an extra 40 points for 3 extra AP and no rending. It feels like maybe there's some rounding stuff going on there. I would feel like normally those weapon options are a bit closer to each other. You often see it with weapons, right, where it's like 10 points for the rending one and 15 points for the AP.
Yeah.
You'll see that on like weapon upgrades. So I'm kind of surprised this is 5 and 45. But I think that's because you're replacing some stuff underneath it. So like the actual relative costs are 2/3 and a full or whatever, but because you've taken off like some range profiles, it just looks weird.
Yeah.
I think either of these work. I think that this is a really nice source of AP in the list. And as we've already mentioned, the rest of the list is so damn cheap that you're looking at this and going like, 225 points. Whoa, that's so expensive. But actually, it's not really expensive, right? Like when we did the Robot Legions thing, we were talking about that 285 points or whatever it was for like what makes a core unit and not a core unit. Well, this is still less than that. And having a bit of AP4 punch in the middle of your army is really nice. So you could just like throw 2 of these guys with their AP4 in, have them play the middle of the board, just threaten anything that comes close to you. And yeah, you're probably pretty satisfied with this. The big disadvantage these guys have compared to the bodyguards, they don't have Fearless.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite a downgrade, but they are a much more generalist profile, so I don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah, I agree. Ogre Agents still good, and because of how cheap them and the bodyguard are, I'm probably going to be running a 2,000 point army at some point that has 6 of these units in, because I love them. I absolutely adore them, and big chunky dudes are my favourite, and being able to do it like this so efficiently is going to be lovely.
It's going to be a nightmare painting Pinstripe, though. It's going to take take a while. But I think you probably do that with like, what is it? We put like card down and spray it.
Oh yeah, nice.
Put the
Use
grills
masking
on it.
tape.
Yeah, like whatever, like a stencil. Yeah.
That, or all of my guys can just be in tan suits instead. Like the agents can be James Bond in Quantum of Solace style. It's not the same.
You can use like a Sharpie or something to do it.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good idea. That'd be it. Brilliant. Well, on to completing our 007 theme here. We've got the traps that 007 leaves behind for the baddies. We've got mine drones. These are, for those Alien Hives players at home, these are spores. 85 points for 5, 6 6s. A1 in their weapon. They have no retreat, so they've got the undead. I don't know why they didn't call it scurry away in this army, because that rule's already there, but oh well. They have explode too. So when it's killed in melee, it does 2 hits to the enemy unit. If it survives melee, it explodes and it does 2 hits to the enemy unit. Mine drones, let's just give you some trauma here. They're on 40mm bases for some reason. No idea why that is. Put them on 25s, no one's going to care. what are your thoughts about spores and mine drones?
It's a really, really hard unit to say things about because it's so matchup dependent about how good these are. So if your opponent's all shooting, then these are a pain in the ass because no retreat means that they're really hard to shift off points if they're not putting out enough output, right? So we talked about our elite guys before, elite operatives, what they're called. A2, AP1, 18-inch range. They shoot 10 shots at these guys. They hit half of them. They hit 5 of them. These guys probably save 1 save. They then make a morale check and a no retreats check, and they could still be on the board. And then they need another round of shooting to kill them. So, and that's a pretty decent range unit shooting at these guys. So no retreat's kind of interesting there. Obviously, the talking point here is explode. The first interesting thing about these guys is they do benefit from charging because they do actually get to attack, and that is kind of relevant. Like you occasionally sneaky 2 or 3 wounds out of it, right? This unit is absolutely terrifying if you are running quite a wide army because it's a very, very efficient way of putting out a lot of hits. It will trade up massively into things. The big disadvantage of units like this is that they can't win combat because they get destroyed.
Yeah.
And when you get destroyed, they can't win combat. So it's interesting, I think, is what it is. It's quite a useful piece to have in your army because you can threaten things with this, and they're quite cheap. Once again, like a cheap, very clear role that this thing serves, right? You just put some mine drones in the middle of and your opponent, like if they charge them, then they take a bunch of hits, and if they don't charge them, then they can charge them instead, and they can take a bunch of hits that way. So
and on top of that, you can take some objectives. You can put them in the same way we talked about with the giant rats. You can put them in way of your enemy's big walkers and make them burn activations. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, this is one of those units where like you'd be jumping for joy if you saw it in many other lists. But the fact that this list also has rat swarms and also has giant rats, like it's like, well, I don't really actually need a cheap unit like this as much. So I think it's an efficient unit. It's kind of like limited the unit. So unlimited is good. So this is good.
Yeah, good. So we like the core units. We are missing a bit of punch, I think, from the core units. So let's go on to the vehicles and monsters and see if we can find a little bit of welly. We're going to start out with the Great Death Wheel, also known as what happens if a merry-go-round goes wrong. 180 points. We have a single unit here, a single model unit with tough 6. It's a 4-2, defense 2, very resilient. It has fast. It has impact 3, so this is a chargy kind of guy, maybe. It comes with fear 1. Now, fear 1 on these tough 6 cheeky units means that you win combats you shouldn't be winning. And if you want a good example of that, go check out a couple of weeks ago video where Harvey plays Warboss Fitz in the UK TTS tournament. He gets off what I would say is some very cheeky charges and gets away with absolute murder because of fear 1. So don't underestimate it. Comes with twin heavy flamers. We like twin heavy flamers. This is good. And then you can make it cheaper to get rid of the twin heavy flamers. Make it impact 8 with AP 1 on those impact hits, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so this unit used to have ambush and it's been taken away. But the flip side of that is now it can choose to get rid of its flamers for the impact profile, whereas before I think it wouldn't get the AP, but it would get the impact, the +5. So it's got a better impact profile now, which is good. Fear 1 is super relevant. This is a Def 2 unit. Fear 1 gives us so much better chance of winning combat against Chaff. Because Chaff can charge us and do no wounds, and this can win combat. Which I think makes this actually quite a scary unit now. Obviously Fear 2 would have been better, but I don't think you can get Fear 2 on tough 6 creatures. But yeah, I mean, was it 165 points for 8 AP1 impact hits? That's a lot of hits. Like what, 6 or 7 hits when you charge.
Yeah.
At AP1, this is kind of doing bits, and you can just leave the flamers on it. It's fast. It's tough. Yeah, I kind of like it. It's not quite trike level of objective taker, but it is similar to that, right? This thing kind of sits somewhere, and at some point, just like is either poking with its flamers or it's like just flying into things and taking those easy trades. So yeah, I like this. I haven't built a list with it yet. I don't think it's quite flashy enough, maybe. but I think it is good. Like the rest of the list, it's cheap, and yeah, you're literally going to have so many spare points in this.
You're going to have so many
if you
spare
just build the list out of the stuff we've covered so far, right?
Like, you're going to be...
Good,
if you want to go for mass infantry, you really can here, and you can feel quite happy about doubling up a load of units. Because with vehicles like this, everything's so efficient. I love it. This is General Grievous in Star Wars in his little rolly bike thing for me. It'll be excellent to see when it comes through. And at 165 points, so nice and efficient. I contrast this to the Fantasy Rats roller, which is 135 points base, gets the same upgrades, which brings it to 145 points. And that's a 5-3. It has nearly all the same stuff. Oh, this one, sorry, I'm looking down because I'm looking at my phone, because the fantasy one has fearless and this doesn't. So when this does lose combat, it's 50-50 run or stay. But at the same time, it's still very efficient and good. Now,
yeah, I think the Def 3 versus Def 2 is quite important there as
well.
Oh
yeah, absolutely it is.
Yeah, Def 2 makes a big difference for winning combat here. Fear 1 plus Def 2 is significantly stronger than Fear 1.
Fear 1, Def 3, yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah. But good, another good efficient unit. Okay. Let's get into the tanks. We are building up to the most exciting one. So we'll give you a little bit of a teaser on a pretty run-of-the-mill one here. Combat tank, this is a boring version of the rest of the tanks we'll see really in Grimdark Future, like the HDF one and the Orcs ones. 385 points, it's a 4-2, it's impact 6, tough 12, it's fast, it's got a big cannon on top. For this one it's a battle cannon, 30 inches, A2, AP2, blast 3. No reliable, sadly there, but it does come with a twin heavy flamer, A2, AP1, blast reliable. We like it. You can replace the battle cannon on top, you can give it A6, AP1 lock on, you can give it a heavy mortar gun instead, you can give it a plasma cannon to AP4 blast 6. You can replace the twin heavy flames with machine guns. I'm not doing that. I don't think I'm too excited about taking this. This is the first time we're seeing something meaty and expensive in the Rats list, and I'm probably passing on it.
Yeah, it's about as vanilla as a tank gets, really. We spoke about Fearless on the APCs in Battle Brothers and that making them quite good. This doesn't have that, so this is one charge away from a very, very sad tank.
Yeah.
Its output is actually quite limp if you're not moving forwards as well, like A2, AP2, blast 3, but only hitting on 4s. It's not great. If you get in range for heavy flamers, then all of a sudden you're kind of starting to put in some work. But we looked at a 170 point unit with tough 9 and 3 heavy flamers before, and we didn't really like that. Do we like twice as many points for not much more output? They have a tank. We don't like tanks, so we probably would never use this.
Yeah, probably not going to use it. I mean, there are tanks in other army lists that I would be inclined to use. The Soul Snatcher Cults one, for example, which should be last week's video by the time this goes out. That tank is actually pretty nice to have because you can do things with it, and you can also change its upgrades a little bit. But this one, the upgrades are so limited. Like, you've effectively, I think, got Adam here saying this unit has no upgrades because I'm not really taking them. Just not the one. Sorry, combat tank. But we then, in complete contrast, have got one of the most exciting tanks in the game. Dwarves have it. Rats have it. It's the Burrower Tank. 435 points for a tough 12. Fast, impact 3, 4, 2, blah, 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 blah. Transport 11. Ambush and transport on a single thing. It's got 2 heavy flamers. Who cares? What it also has with it, so this is already an impact 6 thing because it's tough 12 and impact is half of your tough if you've got it. It also has 8 attacks AP4 on this ambushing transport tank. So it pops out the ground. Yep. It charges something. You hit it with 6 2-ups. You hit it with 8 4-up AP4 attacks, so on average 4 hits with AP4 on top of the 5 or 6 hits with AP nothing. This thing can ruin people's day, and then it just drops a unit on you.
Yeah, Yeah, it's a pretty scary piece. It used to be scarier. You used to be able to get a poison upgrade for 5 points, which obviously in combination with the AP4 is quite nice.
Yeah, that's absolutely
So
filthy.
this is a tank in a weird way. So walkers get fear and they walk into melee and they have stomps and they're good because of that. This is a tank. It doesn't get fear because it's not a walker. It does get impact because it's a vehicle, but it has a melee profile. So all the rules about tanks, which is you want to be close, but you'll die if you get close, don't really apply to this because actually, if you do charge this, it still gets its heavy burrower attack, which sure, by that point, it's probably hitting on 6s. But that means it does at least fight back, and because it's def 2, it's not folding to really limp stuff. So it's better than it appears. And then on top of that, it has the whole ambush transport thing and fast. So, you put it down wherever you want. You move it 16 inches straight into the side of a unit. If they charge the tank, unless they have a specialist unit that can deal with tanks, probably not going to kill it. And then all the stuff that's inside comes piling out. So, yeah, it's a nice piece. I think that they are good. These kind of style of ambush tanks. I don't think they're like insane. It's very easy to go like, hey, attacks AB4 and impact and all that and transport and all this kind of stuff. But 435 points is a lot of points for something that actually is not that aggressively statted for 435 points.
Yeah. Agree with you on that.
So
but it's a good thing that there is so many exciting units to put inside it. I'm particularly keen, as we'll see, on the bodyguards in a unit, in a Burrower Tank. So there are really nice things you can do for this one. I don't think you want more than one, typically. But the one that you do have is fun. Moving on down, sadly, Burrower Tank, we've not spoken about you for long enough, given all the detail we've given to anyone else. I'll click it up on the screen again for anyone else who wants to admire its glory, because I love it. We've got the Mecha-Ogre. Harvey talked about this at the very start. This is probably the better version of the hero, because it doesn't take up a hero slot. 160 points for a 4-2, it's tough 6. It's furious, it's fearless, it's got fear 1. It comes with 2 different melee profiles, which are the exact same. I don't know why, because you're not upgrading any of them. What it means is it's got 8 attacks, AP 1. Even before we go and have a look at the upgrades, that's a good efficient unit for 160 points. I'm quite the fan of that on 4-2s. And then you can give it some good upgrades. You can give it Heavy Pierce, which is Devour, but for 3 hits with AP 1 rather than Wounds, which is fine for 5 points. Probably not taking it personally. For some reason, you can give it a Heavy Flamer. Not sure why that's there for 30 points, but you can. You can give it Spawn Mine Drones for 100 points, which I love. In Rats, you're going to be probably hitting your unit cap. And if one of them's a Mecha-Ogre that spawns an 11th unit, that is really good.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting upgrade. It's another kind of like rat moment where you're like, ooh, 260 points. I am really splashing out here. You're not. I'm a really big fan of the Mecha-Ogre. I think it's a very, very unit. And I think it is probably never going to let you down. Its biggest disappointment is quality 4, but like you're playing Ratmen Clans or whatever they're called, like everything gets quality 4. So, you've already got past that probably because you're this far down the page. Things that I like about this, it has 8 attacks for 6 tough, it has def 2, it has furious, it has fear 1, it has fearless. All of those things are good, and this is all on one unit. Because of that, as I've mentioned before, this is the cheapest you'll possibly ever get this for, because that's how OPR calculations work. But this is a really unique combination of things. Like I certainly none of the armies reviewed so far have had this. So yeah, big fan of these. These are very efficient, easy to place in an army unit. Literally like the rest of the list. Everything in the Ratmen list is like, yeah, I'll slot one of those in. I'll slot one of those. So I'm a big fan of these. And then as mentioned, spawning is very good because it can break the unit caps. And also it's kind of an interesting thing. The one disadvantage of spawn is that it has to happen at the start of an activation. It's when this thing is activated, which makes it kind of a little bit weird. But because you're deploying mine drones, I don't think you care as much as other spawn ones might do, right? Because if they get charged, they still get their full value anyway.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
whatever, right? So what this thing does is that it's nice that spawn does. Sorry, is you can take objectives with things you just spawned.
Yes, you can.
It's not ambush, right? So it's quite nice to just like double move this guy out the board, turn 2, around 2, whatever, just drop some mines and just see what your opponent does with them, right? And then you can just like move them onto their objectives to decap stuff while the Mecha-Ogre can play off the objective. It's quite nice like that. So yeah, they also just act as a counter charge unit for the Mecha-Ogre you've just activated, right? So you just like plop some mine runners down, charge past them. Okay, if your opponent now charges the weakened Mecha-Ogre, you slam some mines into.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely an interesting upgrade. And like, yeah, you're basically paying 15 points for the pleasure of being able to spawn them, which 15 points isn't that much. So yeah, if you're looking at mine drones already, you're probably looking over here as well.
Yeah. Mecha-Ogre, big thumbs up. Well done. Moving on, we get into the walkie stompy fellas. We've got a light Mecha-Walker here. I thought this was tough 9 for some reason in my initial review of this, but I'm wrong about that. This is a shootier version of the Mecha-Ogre. 160 points for a 4-2 with Fear 1, Tough 6, so no Fearless, no Furious here. It comes with a twin rocket launcher to start with, 18 inches, A2, AP2, Deadly 3. It's got its stomp in melee to make sure that it's got a melee profile, and then you can replace the deadly shots with some more shooting, up to a maximum of 50-point upgrade for A8 rending at 24 inches. This is your light walker. In other armies, it usually has scout, but it doesn't here, unfortunately. I'm not as excited about this as I am the Mecha-Ogre.
No, I think for the exact same point cost, I think this is pretty underwhelming. Def 2 Fear 1, once again, is nice. But yeah, I just think, like, why not take a melee profile here? Like, the base profile having deadly is whatever, because for 5 points you get the twin heavy flamers, which is obviously better. This is like, yeah, it feels like the first kind of underwhelming unit in the list, really. I'm not like really wow on it. It's not even like point efficient, so I can't even be like, well, it's not wow, but it's not really meant to be wow.
Yeah.
And also, like, what is the word mecha doing in the name? Because like I get it for like Mecha-Ogre, because an ogre is traditionally mecha, and I get it for Mecha-Beast because beasts aren't traditionally mecha, but walkers are mecha, aren't they? I would say that walker is the definitive mecha thing.
Don't know. Right? Paul Walker was human, so maybe we're going from there.
You're right. So that's what this is. This is a light Paul Walker who has been mecha-ized.
There we go. See, OPR. Yeah, hire me. I will design.
Right in front of us. Maybe it literally means walker, like something that walks, like it's just a human.
It's just anything. This is their pet human slave. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a 60mm base. It's just a really big human. It's like it's a man in stilts.
Very nice.
It's like zombie culture, right? Where they're called like sprinters and joggers and runners and crawlers and stuff. Like maybe that's what this is. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, a walker is a mech. Mecha. It's like saying mech. Like what? I don't get it.
What do you mean? Like what was I saying about the MGs the other week? The like miniguns.
The mini
MG. That was it.
The mini miniguns or whatever.
Mini MGs. We do not get derailed here at Don't Think Just Charge. We are consummate professionals. And let's move on to something that is in line with the whole lineup of what mecha is. It's a great Mecha-Beast. Now we're getting to something again. I'm excited by this. It's a tough 12 Fear 2 Fearless Walker. It's 4-2. It's 380 points, so it's quite expensive for a Qual 4. For some reason they've stuck flamers on it. That's nice. It's got twin heavy flamers. It means it can do things while standing still. But it's got 2 melee profiles. One of them is A4 AP1 Stomp. Really common, you see it. The other's A12 AP1 Stomp. So this thing has 16 attacks in melee. It's good, wholesome fun for everybody. You can upgrade that 12 attack for 8 shots 24 inches at range with rending, 3 AP2 deadly 3 shots at 24 inches, which is kind of okay, but we're quality 4, so we're not thrilled about it. You can have 3 AP1 blast 3 reliable shots, so a triple flamer cannon. That is kind of cool, but it's 65 points, so it's already very expensive. And then we've got another way of getting spawn mine drones in here. You can halve the attacks on your A12 weapon, so down to A6 AP1, and you get spawn mine drones 5. What are your thoughts on the Great Mecha-Beast?
It's like, well, first of all, it's great. um, but which you ruined, by the way, because you made some stupid joke about a Ferris wheel before instead of making clearly the Tony the Tiger death wheel. Way more metal. So this is, yeah, it's a stat stick, isn't it? Really, you know.
Yeah, it's a stat
Fear
stick.
2, Fearless, Def 2. Yeah, like it has 16 attacks. That's nice. Once again, just a very, very efficient thing. It's interesting that you can get 5 flamers on it, and they're 2 different names, and one of them's got 18 inches. So it's a very expensive flamer beast. Is kind of what I'm saying, but also I kind of like it as that. It's kind of like a nice chaff clearer. As I mentioned before, like when you have 4 stomp attacks and Fear 2, you win a lot of melee, because a lot of things can't get through Def 2. And the things that can't get through it tend to be the things that eat shit to heavy flamers.
Yeah,
reasonable. So if you have, so this is actually really nice, just like take one side of the board piece. You just throw up one side, it's fearless, it's double flamering every turn. If they do decide to charge it, then you're just getting more value out of it. Yeah, I really do like this as a piece. I think most likely you just take it with no upgrades though, and just like push it up the middle of the board and have it be a problem. But yeah, I mean, once again, quite low to the ground, quite efficient. Does the whole tough thing where it's doing more than 3 wounds per wound it has.
Yep.
16 being the cap here. So yeah, it's good.
It's good. This is the sort of thing where, looking for combos and synergies in the army, if you do have that 70-point hero with Scurry Away behind it, it's looking really good. If you've not, go back and watch, should be last week's video, where you've got a battle report from me against Creek in the TTS tournament. And with that, you'll see that he does that combo very nicely. He has a Spider Walker and his Dark Tactics on a hero, and it's terrifying. And so you can do that here with your Great Mecha-Beast for a really cheap, low to the ground points cost. So Great Mecha-Beast is Tony the Tiger. He's great. I'm a bit late on it, but I got it in there anyway. We have got an artillery gun in the Rats. It's a 4-2, it's 160 points, it's tough 6 rather than tough 3 as we see in some armies. It's entrenched, it's slow. It starts out with a twin rocket launcher, which is this 18-inch A2 AP2 Deadly 3 gun. You can then upgrade it if you want. You do get something exciting in it. I'll come to the exciting thing last. You can give it a mortar gun, which is A2 Blast 3 indirect. I'm not taking that. I want my Blast 3 guns to be reliable, not less reliable. You can give it a twin heavy machine gun, which is just boring. You can give it a twin anti-aircraft cannon. Why the hell are you doing that? It's quality 4. Lock on quality 4 is just going to... You're just wasting points and activations on it. But what you can get, which is quite funny, is a mine drone gun. So, yeah. Unfortunately, it's not the same as we've seen in the old Alien Hives list, where you could launch spores into the enemy units. But it's A1, Blast 6 indirect, exploding mine drones, so reap. They take an extra wound for every roll of a 1 that they get against it. Sadly, this would be way cooler if it launched mine drones across the map, but for 5 points, I don't mind that too much.
Yeah, so this is the same fate that befell the spore launcher as well. It became this same reap thing. So artillery guns. What are artillery guns in my mind? They are frail but aggressively statted. This is the opposite of that. This has the same number of wounds as it does wounds, like the same potential output as it does wounds. But then it has Def 2 and entrenched, tough 6. So it's like a really tanky version of an artillery gun. I just don't see where this thing plays within this army. I don't like it. 160 points is quite a lot when you could get a Mecha-Ogre for the same price. And I think the Mecha-Ogre is doing so much more.
Yeah, the Mecha-Ogre is actually playing the map. But if, for example, if you're playing set objectives in a mission pack and you know you've got a home objective, this isn't too bad to sit on your home objective. It at least, you know, standing still on an objective can do things. But probably I'd prefer to have the Mecha-Ogre for the versatility of actually moving around the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like, okay, I have a home objective, well, I'll take 2 rat swarms then.
Yeah.
Right, I even take a doubled up rat swarm, right? Like over this thing, I just don't think it ever does enough output, and realistically, it's not threatening enough to defend an objective either.
Yeah.
People move on to the point, and it's got what, A3, right? So it might just die to that, just being charged, or it just decaps and it doesn't really do much. Like it's just way too easy for this thing to just roll below a 4 times.
Yeah.
And your mind drone gun has done nothing. That's not that unlikely, and the same is true for the A2 versions of those guns as well. It's not that unplausible for it to miss basically all of its attacks on a 4-up.
Also, there's this thing about it being entrenched and slow, right? Entrenched, you want to stay still. Indirect, you want to stay still. Slow, you're not moving very quickly. OPR's a movement-based game. It's why we hate Relentless. It's why I hate Relentless. It's why you might say you're not fond of it. It's a movement game, and what you're committing to with this is standing still.
Yeah, I think if it was more aggressively statted, I don't think they do, but there's some sort of rules about the amount of wounds you can do when you have entrenched, I'm pretty sure. If this thing was like a plane where it could do like up to double or whatever, then I'd see some more value out of it. But as it stands, like 6 wounds for 6 toughness, it's just never going to be a good piece, unfortunately.
Yeah. So artillery gun, you can stay at home as well. Now into the meaty boys, the Titans. We have got a giant Mecha-Beast. We're getting bigger. We've got a 675 point unit, which... Oh no, it doesn't. I was wondering if that lets you get it into a 2,000 point army, but I think you're just too expensive.
It does, yeah. So it's 350 points for every 1,000, yeah. So you can get up to 700 points in a 2,000 point game. So this is actually a 2,000.
This is a 2,000 point viable unit.
Yep.
Which is kind of exciting. And it's on a 90 by 52 base. That's not actually massive. I'm not going to start pulling out minis to compare, but that's not the biggest base in the world. It's 675 points. It's a 4-2 Tough 18 model. Thankfully, it's got Fearless. It's Fear 3, so this is a walker rather than tank. It comes with a Rapid Heavy Flamer, A4, AP1 Blast 3 Reliable. It's very much like we've just seen with the Great Mecha-Beast. We've got these ridiculous attack profiles. We've got a Stomp A6 AP2, and we've got a Heavy Claw A18 AP2. You can do similar sorts of upgrades where you get rid of the A18 weapon to get some shooting, which we're not doing here. You could half the attacks on your Heavy Claw, go down to A9 AP2, and be able to spawn 5 mine drones, which is kind of fine, but I think I'd rather keep it at the A18. But one of the things that's, again, super cute is this line at the bottom, upgrade with spawn mine drones.
Yeah, more mine drones. So what do I think about this? I think that this is a very scary piece. 24 attacks, AP2, kills most things. AP2 is a really nice little breakpoint. We've mentioned it before. It most of the time gets all its value. I think it's too expensive at 2k because if you're playing it as a melee thing, which you probably are, it only ever targets 1 unit per turn, and it's really, really, really hard to get 675 points of value unless your opponent is also mega greedy. It does have Fearless, it does have Fear 3, so it's not dying very often. You're basically never charging this thing because with 24 attacks, even if it's hitting on 6s, it's probably still willing in combat with Fear 3. So it's like an enormous problem that sits on the board. I think at 2k points, it's going to get decapped by a rat swarm. But I think maybe as you start to push more into like the 3k territory, this is a very, very, very efficient unit. And in those higher point categories, you are required to deal with stuff like this more often.
Yeah.
Because there's more scope to round your list out around this thing. But yeah, at 2k, this thing would be better if it was tough 12. But then you're just looking at the great Mecha-Beast with the giant Mecha-Beast. Yeah. Yes, but like if the Great Mecha-Beast had AP2, sorry, then it would be like really good. That's basically what this thing's doing, but it's just too expensive a price point for 2k points. If you are running this, though, you're definitely running some scurry away dudes to eat it off the board, right? Like if you're at 2k points, you need to be running 2 scurry away guys to push this guy up. round 1, so he can start causing chaos in their line. You've got to do that, right?
Yeah.
You cannot have this guy walk. You cannot have this guy move 12 inches and then potentially not get a charge round 2. You will lose the game. So invest in some scurry away, throw this guy straight at your opponents, have a huge threat range with it. That makes him really scary. You can even hide your little scurry away dudes behind him because he is on a 90 by 52, so you can very easily fit 225 mils. Just have this guy Tokyo drift sideways at the board. Yeah, all good.
One of the things that's also nice is with it having 24 attacks at AP2, it deals with your opponent's versions of these as well, because if your opponent's bringing a defense 2 thing, this shoves it down to defense 4. And then, so what have we got here? We've got 24 attacks on Qual 4, that's 12 hits, which if you're pushing them down to a 4-up, it's going to be 6 wounds on average going through, which not too bad for winning combat with a Fear 3 as well.
Yeah, and it's also, that's a break point for top 12 things, right? Where now they're going to be running instead of just failing morale and getting stunned. So
yeah,
it is kind of statistically irrelevant. But yeah, probably too expensive 2k, but you definitely could bring it, but just make sure you bring those scurry away guys.
Yeah. So that's the giant Mecha-Beast, and now we have to have the word Titan in here. So this is a Mecha-Walker Titan. We've already traumatized you by talking about Mecha-Walkers, so we won't do that. Instead, we'll talk about the unit. 865 points for a 4-2. He's tough 24. He's a big boy. He is Fear 4. He's fearless. This is quite par for the course on the Titans, really. He's got a twin heavy rocket array, 24 inches, A3, AP2, Deadly 6. Quite typical to see. Here's a twin heavy flamer, of course, because we can't just do one thing. We have to do the Deadly 6 thing and the Blast 3 thing as well. And then he's got a Stomp A8 AP2. It's a shame. I'm telling you now, it's a shame that we don't see the continuing evolution of the ridiculous attack profile, because I was hoping to see A24 on this guy. We've got A12, we've got A16. I was hoping for A24, but we don't have it. But instead, this guy can still put out a lot of damage. You can give it all the bells and whistles of shooting. I'm in particular here, I'm very excited to see you get rid of the Deadly 6 guns to get an A18 24-inch AP1 rending gun. That's really, really good. You can give it extra upgrades. This guy is a good old shooting gun platform. It's a shame he's quality 4+.
Yeah, so he does have Fearless, so that's good. He has Fear 4, which is good. He has Def 2, which is good. A8 on the Stomp means that he wins melee a lot of the time. He's on a 60 mil base. He's tough 24. I think the bases maybe probably aren't done for this, but
I think the bases maybe aren't done before you all jump into the basing balance thread.
Yeah, 24 toughness is a lot of toughness. This is kind of an inconceivable amount of toughness for 2K gamers like ourselves.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone the other day in one of the comments about it, but I think basically if you're playing a 3K point game, you can up everyone's toughness, like equivalent to what they are. So tough 12s are like the tough 6s and 9s of the 3K world.
Yeah.
So this guy is like the tough 18s of the 3K world. So he's starting to point out where he's like really hard to deal with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. I actually prefer it less than the other ones. It doesn't like quite scratch my itch. The interesting thing about this guy is he does have that weird Titan flamer cannon, which is a Blast 6 flamer cannon, which you don't really see much of.
Blast 6 cannon.
Yeah, no, sorry, the flamer cannon.
Oh, sorry,
the reliable one. Right?
Sorry, the A3 AP1 Blast 6 reliable one.
Yeah, so
it's 18 inches as well.
Really. Yeah, so it's kind of like a weird flamer. We don't really like, which yeah, I guess if your opponent's playing lots of Blast 6, things that can be Blast 6s, that is quite a lot of wounds at a reliable level with the twin heavy flamer alongside it.
Yeah.
So it can have quite a nice profile there. Obviously, we've already addressed the big issue with this guy is that what the fuck does Mecha-Walker mean? I'll bring it around for a different complaint about his name this time. All of them have their adjectives first. Why is this guy not a Titanic Mecha-Walker? Why is he a Mecha-Walker Titan? You know, it's just silly. You know, it's just silly. We were using Mecha-Walker as a noun before. Now we're using it as a... Like, come on.
Mecha-Walker Titan, folks. A big old rat walker. I look forward to seeing what OPR brings out as the model for these guys. What we're going to do now, to round out the video, is we're going to go and we're going to build 2 lists for you. We're going to build 2 lists at 2,000 points. We're going to start by looking at one where we just kind of grab the shiny things. It's a bit well-rounded. We pull things out the list and we go, that's fun, that's fun, that's fun. And then we pass over to our resident kook, who passes it over to Harvey in turn. So Harvey instead can do a bit of a quirky list for us. Okie dokie, 2,000 points of Ratmen Clans. Let's go and have a little build. I'm going to just shortcut straight to where I want to take this list. Yeah, and that's going down to the bodyguards. I'm going to stick them in. I'm giving them these ridiculous taser profiles. I'm going to add a tunneler tank, a burrower tank. I'm going to grab a clan handler. I'm going to stick them in, and I'm going to give them all furious, because this is 645 points. So I'm doing the expensive, exciting, shiny thing, because that's the way that my little magpie dopamine chasing brain works. Yep. But because this unit is absolutely insane. When it charges and it rolls 6s, it blows things up. If it gets charged and it rolls 6s, it blows things up. If it rolls 5s now when charging, spoilers, it blows things up. You put it in a tank. The one downside is it can't get there fast enough, right? So instead, you get the tank to do it for it. And the tank is a threat as well. Like, it's not the most scary thing in OPR, but at the same time, you point it at something, it's a deadly Scud missile. It's a really sweet little combo, buried in the rats. That's where I want to start things off.
Yeah, it wouldn't really be a video if we didn't immediately suggest a 600-point transport combo. Because we did that in Ogre Runners, and I'm pretty sure we practiced it in ACF too with the planes and
the planes and the bikes.
Yeah. So if you haven't got a 600-point transport combo in your videos, are you even on OPR YouTuber? I don't know.
I don't think you are really.
It's perfect.
And also, it means that I've just hit my quota of sticking a unit of sexy tough 3 things in. So now we can sit back and build a list that some people other than you and me might want to play. Maybe. Crazy idea. Where else would we like to go?
I mean, the problem with this list is it's so difficult to pick a direction because there's so much stuff going on. Yep. Let's assume that the Burrower Tank and the Bodyguards can win a flank on their own.
Okay.
And then you basically just want to build an army that can win the middle of the board, and then you've won 2/3 of the map. So I kind of like the layered aspect that you can do with Ratmen Clans. So, I mean, I like elite operators. I think they're a nice little range threat that puts pressure on the board that you can countercharge. So I think, some heavy carbines version of those. Very happy for 2 of those to be in the list.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. This has been a big core of a lot of lists I've made.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, I could see 3 of these. They're so cheap. And what they let us do now is they let us build up that kind of like melee section that then countercharges that for value.
Should we keep it at 2 for now and then think about it as we go?
Yeah, sure.
You're talking about something which is really good, important strategically, which we've touched on in the rest of the video, which is countercharging and layering. So I think let's put something in that's going to be countercharging for these units, and let's get a unit of these Mecha-Beast Riders in with lances. I'm tempted to double them up, but I think for now, leave them as they are. At the very worst, we could have 2 of them.
I think 1 is probably fine now. I'd quite like to see some agents in here.
Okay.
I think the agents are good. I think that they provide some AP4 punch that you probably won't get otherwise. If you're assuming that the tank's going off with the bodyguards, then you're going to be quite low AP on this side of the board or the center of the board. So I think these guys also provide a nice little bit of countercharging. So very easy to get value out of that there, which I think is good. If we are assuming that the tank's winning 1 flank and this new force we've got is going to try and win the middle of the board, then obviously we're going to include some rat swarms for some decapping action for faraway points. You can't really go wrong with one of them, right? 65 points is just great. And we're now at 7 units, and we've spent a lot of points on this just like enormous tank strat. But somehow we're still at 7 units. So I think now you can just go as greedy as you want. I would really just go another unit of elite. And then just whatever you want to do. Wrong one.
Oh, wrong one.
The Mecha-Beast Riders. another unit of elite operators, and then just really whatever you want, right? You've got 500 points left to spend on 2 units, so you could get another unit of rat ogres, and then I think probably then you just start slotting in a bunch of those clan leaders we were talking.
Yeah.
Each of them will come to about 100 points. You get some scurry away in here. You get some morale buffing in here. You get whatever you want in here, really.
So what I'm looking at and thinking is, how do we do... Let's make our shenanigan faster. Now, one of the things that I've enjoyed doing is, as we've said, we've got the opportunity to have a clan handler with scurry away, right? If you... More cutesy shit. If you stick this unit of bodyguards and clan handler in the tank, because of the way that the transport rule works, this takes up 10 slots.
Yeah.
This clan handler takes up 1 slot. We haven't done a dwarves video, but this is quite a similar strat that you've been doing in dwarves. So if you pull the tank out, you can then shunt it 6 inches by just activating this clan handler. If you want, you can even get the clan handler out, and as you're bringing this guy 6 inches back, you move the tank 6 inches up. And then the tank has, with its fast, total of 22 inches of charge range on the turn it comes out. If people have got Warcry, sucks to be them, really, because you're still slamming your move in. So I think that's quite a fun place to be. I want another one somewhere in the list anyway, just to make things move a bit faster. So I'm quite tempted to do something like put this into a unit of elites.
Sure.
Oh, do we want another? Let's get more. Should we get more rat ogres out here? What do we think?
I don't see a reason not to, really. Like, scurry away is so good, right? Like, I could see another unit of rat ogre agents. Just like another big scary unit that if you push 6 inches has an 18-inch threat range.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
I think you could even double up the Mecha-Beast Riders here. Like really, like, we're spoiled for choice. We've got so many points to spend. It just feels like we've added a million units. And is it the most durable army? No, but I don't think you're really going to ever make it durable. This is a heavy trading list.
This is a heavy trading list.
So yeah, like, but everything here is very, very efficient. So I think you're pretty happy with it. I think you probably want to give that guy a go.
Yeah,
I actually quite like the master carbine on him. It puts him in the same range as the rest of the unit and it makes him hit on 2s.
I was just thinking about that, and as well, it's A2 rather than A3, so you just plink out regeneration upgrades, special weapons. He's good. Yeah. He's good to see. Which leaves us with, if we're doing this sort of level of stuff, this leaves us with 10 points. So I'm thinking we give the clan handler a melee weapon. What can we give him?
Yeah, he's actually got electro lances, which I think is quite nice.
Electro lance, yeah.
Because he's probably getting the charge if he's inside the tank.
Yeah.
And that puts him up to AP2, and he's hitting on 4s, 5s, and 6s, and 6s explode. So you know that he ends up hitting on 3+s or something. So
don't get confused at home. This guy doesn't Furious on 5s. He doesn't have Furious to start with. No. So he is just on 6s, but the rest of the unit is everything anyway. So
yeah,
I like it. This is
so
this is a list I'd enjoy playing.
Yeah, the other way you could have taken this list is you go like, okay, well, the tank and the agents probably win one flank. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flood the board, right? Yeah. So instead of going like elite operators, take a lot of melee chaff, and then you can bring in some clan handlers, maybe with undead or maybe with the morale buffs, and then you just go like swarm the board elsewhere, and then still play that kind of counter charge style of play. What we've gone for here is a slightly more elite kind of way of doing that. Which I think I prefer. I quite like the 3 units of elite operators. They're very they're nice trading targets, and people want to move towards them most of the time.
Yeah,
and like lots of scurry away tech's really nice. The scurry away stuff also lets you support the board a little bit more widely. So like if you are saying this is going on this flank to deal with whatever, and because it's ambush, you should win the flank it goes on because you should be able to know before you get there. But if it doesn't win, then you can also scurry away stuff over to help that flank if there's like 1 unit left or whatever. So it's quite with lots of little movement.
Very flexible, very fun, very fast. Are you proud of me? I didn't put a walker in this.
Not a single walker.
Not a single walker.
Shocking, that, isn't it? Really, I know. Well, I mean, that says a lot about the walkers in this list.
I mean, there is also if that's one list, there is also a list where you go. Let's find the Ratmen again. we're going to make extra lists for you here, because we have also skated over the lists that bring in the giant death wheels, that bring in the Mecha-Ogres, and that have got the great Mecha-Beasts. And then from here you can still do the thing that's got the Ogre Bodyguards and the Burrower Tank, and then the guys doing their silly shit, one of them with Fanatics in there, this guy with a Scurry Away who's backing it up. And even from here, like if you wanted to bring in the Stalkers, bring in, I don't know, a couple of units of these guys here, if you brought in 2 of the elite operators.
Like the list building is like, you literally feel like you're swarming in points.
You are swarming.
It's kind of wild. Like you've literally just gone through and just clicked on random stuff there, and like you still are 9 units with 190 points left, right? So
exactly right. So
really, like, yeah, make the list you want to make with this army. I think you definitely want to be playing very classic Ratmen style of armies, i.e., bring lots of kind of chaff to then have lots of elite stuff. This is very like the list you just like very quickly thrown together is very fantasy rat style. You have lots and lots of swarms, and then on top of that you have like really big guys that do stuff, right? Because you could literally bring 2 great Mecha-Beasts, no problem in this list, right? They're expensive, but like you have so many points to play with. You can really do like a big stompy list and still have enough points for the stuff you want, and still have enough points for some advanced tactics. So
it's good.
Yeah, it gets real nice.
Let's make it even nicer.
Right on.
Let's
my spice.
Let's see what you've got for me today. Let's go and build Harvey's fun 2K list. Talk me through where we're going.
So yeah, just as an example of like, you know, what we think solid cores are, when I build my spicy list, I don't tell Dave anything about them. So in my list, I have a clan handler with Scurry Away. On his own. I have 2 Mecha-Beast Riders with Lances.
2 units of Mecha-Beast Riders with Lances, not doubled up?
Yep. Nope. I have 2 units of Elite Operators with the Heavy Carbines.
Oh, okay. Well, we're very close to... Don't tell me your spicy list is my spicy list.
And then I have a Mecha-Ogre.
I know where we're going.
This is 6 units. This is like you know, it's a pretty solid core for any old army.
Great core.
Now today's spice, I need 2 Burrower Tanks.
2, okay.
2 Burrower Tanks. Like this is the whole Ratman. You can just put whatever you want in it. You just double stuff up. I mean, I've still got loads of points. Could you just add in a doubled up unit of mine drones and just embed a clan handler in them?
Embed a separate clan handler?
Not that one. Yeah, that one. Yep. Just embed him in there. So I mentioned this before, and if you double that up, that's 2,000 points. So the reason why you do this, right, and the spice here is that mines always lose combat because they get destroyed. But if you embed a 25-point leader
guy,
in it, he doesn't get destroyed. You win combat all of a sudden, which is a really interesting bit of tech, and it's really annoying because it's 195 points to do like 20 hits plus whatever they hit normally, and then they still have. So this is my spicy tech for today. This is how you make spores and mine drones like that slightly more effective.
You can do this with spores in Alien Hives, but your basic leader there is the Veteran Warrior, I think he's called. Or is he just the Veteran? Maybe it's the Veteran Warrior, and then you've got like an Elite Veteran Warrior, and he's... I'm challenging myself here. I think he's 50 points base for a model. He's 4/4.
I think 55, yeah.
Oh, 55. Well done. So I mean, yeah, you can do it, right, but it's better here.
Yeah, exactly. This is much cheaper, and also you have the advantage of putting these things inside the tanks, so that you can get them straight onto the target that they're going for, right? So that's what the double burrow tank is as well. And it's an interesting strategy because it's 195 points, which obviously is points, but there is no rush to get them out because they do just die, right? So round 2, you can leave them idling inside the tank if you want, and then get them out after, right? Like it's almost like it's scarier as a loaded gun than it might be as a shot bullet, right? Like just holding this over your opponent, knowing that if they bring anything in close to your tank, then you're going to unleash hell on them. could warp the game in a way that maybe you're not expecting, in a way that actually 20 hits probably doesn't do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is kind of like a fun little strategy for when you think 20 hits is going to kill a unit. Or not kill a unit, but you might do morale and stuff. It's an interesting bit of tech, and I thought it would be fun to show off. Obviously, the first list we built is probably more competitive. But yeah, it just goes to show what you can do when you have access to cheap heroes, right? Like all the scurry away stuff, all that kind of stuff, right? You probably have just as much success with this list, despite having 2 complete meme units in it.
Yeah. Well, there we go. That is our take on the Ratmen Clans. Let us know what you think. Thank you very much for watching the video. Please do get down in the comments, get into our Discord. Most importantly, subscribe to the channel, give us your thumbs up, all of that lovely stuff. We're growing at such a great rate, and thank you for watching. And for now, I've been Dave, he's been Harvey. We'll see you next time.